Wow, this is a movie that's don't judge a book by its cover, and that is Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Holy crap, I was really surprised by this movie because, I really like horror comedies, like Cabin in the Woods, Zombieland. Some of my favorite movies are horror movies, but they're also comedies. And so, but I also know the danger in that, and, sometimes they end up being kind of terrible. Case in point, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Slither, but it really was not my cup of tea. I really didn't find it funny or scary. I just found it really stupid, and even though Nathan Fillion was in it, I hated it. This is not that movie. This is more along the lines of Cabin in the Woods, except it didn't get as wide a release. This movie completely takes the horror genre and flips it on its side as to where the killer hillbillies that you usually see in horror movies are actually the good guys. They're just misunderstood. And so you've got... Okay, who do you have in this movie? You've got Tyler Labine and Alan Tudyk. They played Tucker and Dale. And Tucker and Dale are these two hillbillies. They bought this cabin in the woods. And they're turning it... It's their vacation home, and they're trying to remodel it. And all of a sudden, they get interrupted by these teenagers who are there for a weekend getaway. And so they're down at the lake one night. One of the teenagers, played by Katrina Bowden, very hot in this movie, slips and hits her head, and so they take her off to safety, while the kids think that they kidnapped her. And hijinks ensue. The three main actors in this movie do their job perfectly. Tyler Labine and Alan Tudyk. Tyler Labine, he was in some sitcom that got canceled, and I don't really remember the name of it. And he was also in Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and he was great in that movie as well. Alan Tudyk, he has been in literally everything. These guys work off each other so well. They're so funny. It's an amazingly funny adventure with those two. You never know where the story's going to go next. You think you know, but then they throw a few twists in there, and I'll get to that later. But... Tucker and Dale, they're just two really likable characters. All they want to do is just go to their vacation home and spend the summer there, or whatever. And, they just keep getting into trouble, and it's so much fun. I love this movie. And then you have the very, very sexy Katrina Bowden. She was on 30 Rock, and she was sexy on that show, too. Ow, okay, I usually don't like blonde girls, so this is... Yeah, good work. No, she's very, very funny in this movie, too. She's very likable. She has this romance with Dale, and, it's actually a believable romance. Like, you get where these characters are coming from. You get that you shouldn't... The whole purpose of the movie is to tell you that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. And, you get Dale, he's this fat redneck, and he doesn't really know anything. And then she sort of sees the good person underneath him and falls in love with him. You could call it Stockholm Syndrome, except they didn't really capture her, they're just keeping her safe. And so you've got those three amazingly likable, amazingly funny characters, in the case of Katrina Bowden, amazingly hot. Jesse Moss, I'm reading the IMDb page right now. He plays the bad guy. I think I'm spoiling that for some of you, but his name is Chad. This guy is a dick. Like, he hates rednecks. He hates hillbillies. I mean, I don't really like rednecks myself, but, I'm from Nebraska, so I might as well tolerate them. This guy absolutely hates them, and you don't understand why until later in the movie, and then it becomes clear, and from then on, he is a bad guy. This guy is bad news. And this movie does a great job of turning things on their heads. The death the deaths in this movie are accidental, which is really funny to see that happen. One of my favorite scenes is where one of the kids, Tucker is like working with a wood chipper, and so one of the kids is running up trying to tackle him, and Tucker just moves out of the way. The kid jumps behind him into the wood chipper, and he starts screaming, freaking out. And at the end, he's like, "Are you okay?" It's so funny. Oh my, we have had a doozy of a day. This movie is one of my favorite horror comedies of all time. I think it's up there with Cabin in the Woods and Little Shop of Horrors and Zombieland. This is so funny. I guess if you don't like blood and gore, and if you don't like this kind of humor, this movie will probably not be for you. However, if you want to waste an hour and a half, and you need a really good laugh, this movie will do it for you. Tucker and Dale vs. Evil is one of the greatest horror comedies of all time. I really thank you for recommending this, and I'm LilSteveRogers. I'll see you next time. Take care now. Get her done.